Welcome to the Betfred Boxing Show with myself, Dom McGuinness, and Anthony $1 Million Crolla. Now, Anthony, on this show, we're going to hear from the returning Bradley Skeete. He's got plenty to say, really good to chat to him. Paulie Malignaggi is going to give us his thoughts on various matters, as he tends to do. Ashley Theophane is joining us, and we're going to have a special feature on Josh Warrington with his dad, Sean O'Hagan, and we know that is comedy gold, of course, when those two are together. But we are going to start with some action that we witnessed at the weekend. 2 world title fights. One involved your old mate Jorge Linares against Devin Haney. But before we get to that one, Nonito Donaire, special mention to him. At 38, becoming a world bantamweight champion again.
Yes, turning back the clock. And listen, I like to gloat when I get them right, but obviously I got both wrong. I think maybe Jorge was more with my heart, although he did nearly pull it off. Donaire, I just thought, you know, it was just that late on in his career. It'd be hard for him to do, but he looked unbelievable. And everyone just comments, what a nice guy. What a nice guy. And he's a major player in that division again. He really is, or in and around that division. And sort of, that's the late stage in his career. Obviously, I know he lost out to Inouye last time out, but he come out covered in glory, and then he looked every bit as good as he always does last time out. So that's it's great to see a guy like him win world titles again.
Well, he's only lost to top operators, and he's had more longevity than all of them, really, if you look at it. And now at 38, that's quite rare, isn't it, for the smaller divisions to go on as long?
At that weight as well, and he's one of the biggest punchers, pound for pound, in boxing. I've always said it for a long time. You know, I always think back to that knockout with Fernando Montiel. That was like one of the great knockouts we've seen in the past 10 years. But, yeah, unbelievable fighter. Seems an unbelievable person. Yeah. And it's great to see him at the top again.
And Linares, as you say, against Haney. I mean, Haney, 22, you know, said he was the future of that division, the lightweight division. And Jorge, of course, it was. We know it's towards the end of his career. What did he have left? Good fight, though.
Yeah, very good fight, which, you know, I thought it would be. I think Haney, I thought it would tell us a lot about Devin Haney on Saturday night. And it did, and I think a lot of those questions was answered. But I think what it's probably done as well, with certain fight fans, it's also presented a few more questions. They wasn't too happy in how he finished the fight, but it was about winning. And listen, would have the Jorge of old, you'd feel, got him out of there, especially when he had him hurt late on? Yeah, you most probably would. You'd have to say you would. But he come through it, and there's no denying he won the fight, but he was in trouble later on, and it seemed like, you know, tactics was questionable, just how much he was holding, how much he was getting away with it. But he did, and like I say, he's 22 years of age. He's just beat one of the top fighters in the division. You've also got to give him a bit of credit as well. But yeah, again, it was Jorge showing the sun life in the old dog just yet. You know, he might not have been just ready to go just yet.
There has, in light of the weekend, been talk of Campbell and Linares potentially doing it again. Britain's Luke Campbell I'm talking about. But then obviously there's been a little bit of ding-dong between Haney media has been fantastic. And Campbell. So, I mean, Luke's putting himself right in there, isn't he, basically?
He is. Then, you know, some of the social media interaction between the pair of them has been brilliant. And listen, it's a fight that it does make sense both with Matchroom. If Devin Haney's, the fight with Garcia, Lopez isn't going to happen, then, or Lomachenko, who everyone forgets about, then him and Luke is one of the best fights that can be made, so we'll see.
We will see, and we'll see what happens this weekend. Fight Zone's back in action again, but last weekend, the second of the Fight Zone shows in Sheffield, Cash Ali was back. Now, Cash Ali, he's played the Panto villain in the wake of the David Price biting incident a good while ago now, but he's paid his dues, he's come back, and he was in action against Thomas Salek from the Czech Republic. And it was a fabulous performance from him. His jab was working brilliantly. As you can see there, the uppercut was sensational.
That was a great shot to finish it. Well, it was a double uppercut, which is rare, and great shots landing. Whether it's broke the nose of the opponent, I'm not sure. Whether Thomas Salek there also got a broken nose, but it was a great shot. And listen, in the heavyweight division, I would say more than you're always, a win or two just away from a big fight. Do you know, if you can, and especially if you've got a title, that was for a title as well. So we'll see what the future holds for him.
He's been working with Big Richard Towers.
Yeah, Big Richard Towers is working well there together.
The uppercut was brilliant all night, as was the jab. And it looked like a much improved.
Certainly looked, so you got to give a shout out to Richard Towers and the team there. They look like they're doing a great job with him. There's certainly improvement in him.
Yeah, so he's now the IBF European champion. Yeah. So he goes onwards and upwards. But of course, there's more action to come this Friday. In fact, it's non-stop with Fight Zone every Friday, and there's a bonus Saturday show as well this weekend, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this Friday, I know you're going to be involved as well.
I will be.
It's Charlie Schofield against Mickey Ellison. They've battled before, and they're doing it again for an English super middleweight title, and that's top of the bill. That's a cracker to look forward to anyway. It's a great
fight,
great
very
trade
good
fight.
That. Yeah, great trade fight. And last time out, so close, and I think both fighters feel have made the improvements this time to for that not to be the case again. You know, a close fight, both fighters fancy themselves strongly, but I think it's going to be another cracker between them both, and obviously I'm sure we're going to get onto it, but the undercard as well, there's some returns, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's some great stories on the undercard, and one of them that we're going to focus on now is the return of Bradley Skeete, of course, an out British Lonsdale champion, a Commonwealth champion, and after an absence of 2.5 years, he is fighting in Sheffield on Friday night. So myself and Anthony, we had a word with Brad, and we started off by asking him, well, it's been a while, so why now, and what's the plan?
It's all just fell into place, mate. I'm buzzing, and I'm not. Obviously, I knew all about the Ingle gym. I knew Dom, and I didn't think I'd be one day like training there and training with him. And I'm buzzing. I made the move, and it's something like that at this stage of my career. And I think for people looking in, thinking, oh, he's been out 2.5 years. I've had a lot of people like doubting me and saying, oh, I should have retired and should have stopped. Do you know what I mean? But I'm far from finished, and going off my last performances, wasn't great, but people know me and I know myself that wasn't me. I wasn't happy with boxing. I fell out of love with boxing. I absolutely love it again now. I'm like, this on Friday feels like it's my debut. I'm buzzing. I'm excited, and I've sacrificed moving away, and for me to do that, it just, for me, not anyone else. I'm not doing it for anyone else but myself. But for me, it just proves I'm serious and I'm dedicated to reach the level I know I can get to and reach.
Well, Brad Skeete there, such a likeable lad, and it's great to have him back, Anthony.
Yeah, fantastic lad, Bradley, with great skills. Like I say, he's got one of those lovely Lonsdale belts, 4 keeps, and the comeback starts on Friday night, and it'll be interesting to see what Bradley's got left after so long out the ring. But I hope he gets where he wants to. Great lad.
That's one comeback, but it's not the most impressive comeback on the night in terms of being out of the ring. 2.5 years is a long time to be out of the ring, but when you're John Fuchs and you've been out of the ring for more than 7 years and you've been working as a trainer, you know, doing really good work, and now he wants to get back in and see what he's got. A great story.
Wow, John Fuchs coming back, and I'm sure he won't be offended by this if he hears it, and it's not meant to be that way whatsoever, because it's certainly a compliment, but his weight loss is right up there with Tyson Fury's, if not more impressive, because obviously having get down to a certain weight. John Fuchs, a lot of people, again, open up my mouth, would say he massively underachieved, the skill set he had, you know, the hopes that people had for him. I don't know whether it's because he was a bit of a jet lad or what, I don't know, but I know Glenn Rose, they had a great relationship, and they thought he was going to go so much further, like, lovely skills he had, and now obviously doing well as a coach. I think you mentioned it then, they went against each other at one point, sort of master and the apprentice, but I'm sure that even if it's for his own sake, you know, you've got to give him a massive well done for getting back in there and, you know, getting back fit and healthy.
Yeah, he's Titan boxing gym as well, of course, doing great things with kids, but also pros, and he was in the corner with Kell Brook for the Michael Zarafa fight not so long ago, so he knows it in and out, doesn't he? He knows the sport, but he still wants to have a go, so fair play to him.
He does, and I'm sure there'll be a great crowd there as well. I remember as an amateur, he'd always bring loads there to watch him, so he'll have great support in there on the night. Yeah,
at the Fight Zone Arena, sunshine
we'll
in
be
Sheffield.
Rocking,
of course it will. And then, of course, there's a bonus show on Saturday because Fight Zone's back. Mark Leach against Thomas Assomba is top of the bill. Salford's Mark Leach, what a talent he is, and Thomas Assomba will come with great ambition. And you're in action, so to speak.
Yes.
You're fighting this anyway. Jake James is, so you're back in Sheffield.
I'm going to be there both nights. Look at me, so I'll get to watch both shows. But yeah, I've got Jake back out for the first time in 18 months, so, you know, thanks to Fight Zone for getting him, out, so he's out there. Get him back out there, and the main event, you've just mentioned it, we're on about trade fights. What a fantastic fight that is. Mark Leach and Thomas Assomba, and for me, not all good fights deserve a title. This deserves some kind of title to it, and I think, you know, Mark's been pretty vocal, and rightly so. The fact he had an eliminator, now he's got to have a final eliminator after the impressive performance against Kazafshak. And Assomba is, you look at his record and the losses he's got on there, they're only to quality fighters. He also holds a win. I was there that night. He beat one of Mark's stablemates in Sean McGoldrick, he boxed the perfect fight that night. So Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis will be well aware just how good Thomas Asomba is. And Mark will have his hands full, but I see him as a real talent, and I think he will come through it.
Well, we were talking about comebacks before, and we were talking really about duration outside, away from the ring in terms of comebacks. But there's a comeback again that's fascinating on Saturday night. Daniel Dubois is in action on Saturday night. Of course, after the defeat, a crushing defeat in so many ways, really, for a young man against Joe Joyce with the eye injury and everything. Now he's back in against Bogdan Dino from Romania, who's only got a couple of defeats on his record, and those defeats
in good company
to Pulev and Jarrell Miller. So I'm sure, you know, this match has been made for a reason. It's probably a good fodder for Daniel, if you like, but he'll have the mental as well as physical questions to answer.
Of course, the eye injury, and I think he got a lot of stick at the time, a lot of criticism, but now he's back fighting. That decision to sit the count out, however you want to look at it, might have saved his career. It might have saved his career, and he's a super talent, and I still believe he can get where he wants to be. I saw an interview recently, in the last few days, where Shane McGuigan says probably the hardest hitting person I've ever took on the pads, and that includes Lawrence Okola, who's a serious puncher, and David Hay. So, and it's frightening to think he thinks that he can get more power. He's not rotating on some punches. So, it's good to see Daniel Dubois back out after what looked like it could be potentially a career-ending, injury.
It is a new start. He's left Martin Bowers, obviously. He had a kind of brief flirtation with Mark Tiz. That didn't work out, I think, because of Billy Joe and his involvement with Mark. So he's just moved on to Shane, but Shane was already doing some work with Caroline, his sister. So there's a natural fit there.
Yes, there is, and like you say, he's really excited about it in the future. Shane's record as a trainer speaks for itself. It's certainly going to be interesting to see the next stage in Daniel Dubois' career.
Yep, indeed. Also in action on Saturday night is Tommy Fury. And again, he kind of walks that line between a bit of showbiz and boxing, and he's got the Fury name, and he looks the part and everything else. And he takes on Jordan Grant the weekend. And there's always lots of eyes on Tommy.
There is, and he's fighting a professional fighter who's unbeaten yet. You know, obviously, listen, Jordan Grant, he's had 2, his wins aren't anything to, make the boxing world take no, but he's getting in there with a fighter with a winning record. So it'll be interesting. And Tommy's trying his best. Obviously, there'll always be, the Love Island thing that follows him, but he's trying his best to do things as a professional fighter and not just as Tyson Fury's little brother or the reality TV star. So you've got to admire that, because he doesn't have to get in that professional ring. He can be an influencer. Listen, there's a lot easier ways to make money for Tommy Fury than to get in a professional boxing ring.
What we don't argue with Tommy Fury is we know he's a boxer. Now, whether he's going to hit the heights of Tyson, we wouldn't imagine he would. But we know he was a boxer before he went into Love Island. Let's not forget all of this.
Yes.
He was a boxer then. He's a boxer now. As I say, wherever he goes, he was a boxer first and foremost. Jake Paul, one of your favourite fighters, I know.
Yes.
It's a slightly different story, and he's still having a little bit of a ding-dong with Tommy, and Tommy's been talking about Jake being a bit of a joke again today, and all the rest of it. Again, this isn't going away, the YouTubers and boxing and blah, blah, blah. So I'll get your thoughts in a sec, but our producer Josh, he tracked down Paulie Malignaggi, as he likes to do from time to time, and put this whole YouTube thing, the Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul as well, which is coming up this weekend, put all that to Paulie.
I feel like it's a situation where it's probably more one-sided than most YouTube casual fans would think it is. No matter how long Floyd Mayweather's been retired, I don't know that Logan Paul's been boxing long enough to really be in the ring with this guy. But you have enough of these YouTube fanatics, not the YouTubers, but the YouTube fanatics who follow them, who will basically, if these guys televise themselves going to the bathroom, they'll get enough of a viewership, and they'll even get sponsors with that extra viewership. So if they do anything funny or cool, like fighting, against one of the superstars of the sport, which, let's face it, Mayweather is, regardless of retirement, and then you're going to get a lot of viewership. So I understand it. I even respect the Paul brothers, because they legitimately immerse themselves in boxing and are really trying to better themselves. But the problem, as with all human beings, is a constant overdoing it of things, and you can never get too much of even a nice thing or a good thing can be bad. And now what's happening is you get the constant YouTuber influx, TikToker influx, and all of a sudden you've got a sport which was so difficult to navigate in is now being flooded with these low level talents that are very marketable, and they're kind of changing the entire perception of the sport, you know. So I don't know what to make of it. I give credit to the Paul brothers, but unfortunately, I feel like they've started a trend which is going to be tough to break. And there are legitimate world-class fighters who are probably going to suffer out on this, regardless of their incredible skills.
And what have you made of the Triller events as well? And some of the old fighters coming back. I think Evander Holyfield's next step in the ring in one of the Triller events.
Yeah. I guess they've also found a little niche as well. Like I said, I feel like the perception of boxing, the identity of boxing is changing a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see where this leads to. I feel like right now it's still in the midst of this weird change. So we'll see where boxing lands after all this quote unquote craziness settles.
Paulie, always in good form. I think you can throw any question at Paulie Malignaggi, can't you? And he'll come up with a quick fire answer. It's just so natural to him.
No,
but I mean, his point, he has respect for the Paul brothers, worried that it's going to flood the market. And again, that's the main point. He's had his say in the Triller fights as well, and those coming back. But it's Mayweather, Logan Paul, Sunday night, Monday morning. That's happening.
Yes.
I mean, what do you think?
Floyd Mayweather has always been, there's no denying, an amazing businessman. And again, that's what this is. I just think there's a lot of controversy of it being on Sky box office, but this is a different market. This is almost like sports entertainment. And I think that's what you've got to remember. If you're tuning in to watch Floyd Mayweather in, I don't know about a competitive fight, or let's be honest, he's actually used the words himself of this is a legalised bank robbery. And I think there's going to be a lot of boxing people hoping he comes to the ring with that same energy of, how easy this is going to be, and a little bit to how he did the other year, although was he in Japan, an MMA fight, and he finished it in a round. There'll be a lot of people who are wanting to see that. And I'm not sure. And then you think now, well, if Floyd manages to overcome the great size deficit against Logan Paul, is he then going to is Jake Paul going to look to restore family pride and put it right? And then if he does that, then where does this leave KSI? Yeah, it's all that mad. It's all that crazy. But is it, I think the world we live in today, is it going to probably do big numbers on box office? Yeah, it is. But I think, any boxing fan in general, they're not really too interested about seeing Floyd fight a YouTuber. If you want to watch some of his old fights on YouTube. The undercard, there's a bit of action on the undercard. Obviously, Badujak, great fighter. He was meant to be fighting the return regime Pascal. Pascal fails a drug test for 3 different types of steroids. You can imagine the shock on so many people's faces when they heard that. But listen, it is like Paulie's saying, it's a trend. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Floyd's back, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. And we will get now a little insight to the Mayweather camp on all of this, because producer Josh had a word with Ashley Theophane, who of course has been part of the money team for a long time. So this is what he had to say about it all.
Joined here by Ashley Theophane, of course, a member of the money team with Floyd Mayweather for many years. Floyd back in the ring this weekend against Logan Paul. First of all, before we get on to that particular fight, what have you made in recent years of these YouTubers and guys from other sports going into the world of boxing, Ashley?
You know what? I haven't got an issue with it. The only thing I think, it shouldn't be professional. It shouldn't be professional fights. So I have no issue with them doing the exhibition bouts like what Floyd's going to do now, but I don't think that they should be professionals. That's how I can. Because as well, I'm chatting to a young man the other day, and he said that a bunch of his friends have started to box because of the pools. Like, they wasn't into it, but because of the pools, they've got into it. So for me, I guess if it brings more fans and more eyes, and it's good for the sport in that sense, but I just don't think that they should be classed as professionals.
No, definitely. And Floyd, he's had a couple of these type of fights. Obviously, the first one that came about was Conor McGregor, the crossover between boxing and MMA. Floyd fought someone over in Japan as well. And now this bout against Logan Paul. How do you think Floyd would be taking it? Do you think it'll be taking it as seriously as he was when he was boxing professionally?
So from what I've heard from the gym, because I'm still friends with a lot of guys there, like they've said it's like the old Floyd's back. Because like, you have to think, even though this guy is nowhere near as good as Floyd, you know, he still doesn't want the guy to look good against him. Even if Floyd is older now and he's past his prime, he's still Floyd Mayweather. So he's still got, you know, he's still professional in that he trains hard and he's very things. So from what I've heard in the camp, that, you know, it's like the old days that Floyd is calm and maybe Floyd, see, a lot of us, we don't want to retire or we stay in the sport too long. So maybe Floyd might miss the training because sometimes he misses the training and all the eyes on you. So there's also that, like he gets to stay in shape. And being real, to me, the fight with Paul will be like a sparring match. Like, so I think a lot of us, we stay on too long and we box too long, and a lot of us, we get hurt and we end up broke. So I think Floyd's showing a new way of don't get broke. You can stay healthy, you can stay in the gym, and you can make some cash. So and it's going to be entertaining. The card itself is pretty good. You know what I mean? The card they've put together is a pretty good card. So even if you're not a fan of this Floyd Mayweather fight and Logan Paul, you've still got a very good card that's underneath that's worth the pay-per-view that Sky are going to put on. So, you know, I think it's a good deal.
Definitely. And you mentioned Floyd is back in the gym. It's like the Floyd of old. Do you think it'll be one that we could see end fairly early, this one then?
Well, I've heard that we don't really know like how many rounds it is, if it's 6 rounds or 8 rounds. So Floyd won't have, you know, he won't be able to take his time as he likes to do. So he'll have to kind of start sharp. I think it will end by KO. I think it'll end by KO because you can't have this YouTube guy who's had one fight, lost to KSI. He can't go points with TBE. So, you know, Floyd will go out there, I think, and want to look good and put on a show.
And with Floyd, do you think we could see him in the ring again beyond this? Obviously, we see the Triller events where we're seeing the likes of Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. and Evander Holyfield coming out of retirement. Do you think we will see Floyd either against someone else from another sport or even against another former boxer?
I think after this fight, after Floyd beats Logan Paul, he's going to fight Jake Paul. Because when Jake Paul took his cap, I think Jake Paul knew what he was thinking. Jake Paul, he wanted next. Because if anything, Jake is the better of them two. Jake is the one who's had the more fights. He's trained by Jay Leon Love and BJ Flores. So he's the one who's more in the gym, and he's probably a better fight than Logan Paul is. But I think Logan Paul, he might just have the bigger fan base. So I think after this fight, after Floyd beats the big bro, he's going to go to fight the little bro. That's what I think, because, you know, it's all about money.
No, definitely. And you mentioned the undercard for this as well, and a fight that isn't happening now, but was going to be the co-main event of this card, was a big friend of yours, Badu Jack, in a world title fight, but Pascal obviously failed a number of drug tests. What have you made of that whole situation?
Yeah, you know, I'm friends with Badu, and I'm cool with Jean Pascal. So as Jean Pascal, it's a shame that his career is coming like this, because he's achieved so much, he's done so much great things. So if it comes true, I think they got to do the B test or whatever it is. If it does come true that he did cheat, you know, it's a very big stain like on his career, because he's had a great career. But yeah, like with my friend, I know that he told me, I asked him the other day, and he told me 2 names and stuff who it could be. So they're just trying to do a deal. So he will fight this week, but just depends who they get. So it's a shame for him because I was at the first fight with John Pascal. It was a very good fight. I thought he did enough like to win, and they gave it to John Pascal. So maybe we'll never see that rematch now because of that. You know, so it's a shame for my friend that he may never get that rematch that he deserved and that he should have won in the first place.
Yeah, so the undercard affected by all the developments, which you alluded to before, which is never good to see, is it?
No, it's never good to see. And like Ashley said then, you know, Jean Pascal, he's had a fantastic career, but now it just puts that cloud over it. And all this, you know, the great performances of late when he looked like he was done. It's a mad shame that we shouldn't really be talking about it, but unfortunately it happens in boxing, it happens too much. Yep.
Well, just before we wrap things up, there's a latest edition on the Sportsman's YouTube, and it's the regular feature we do called Outside the Ropes. And this week it is focusing on Josh Warrington with more than a little help from his dad and trainer, Sean O'Hagan. And Josh is desperate to fight at Headingley and the rematch with Maurizio Lara, so I went over to Leeds and caught up with him. How's it been the last couple of months for you? I mean, if you've been away, you've had to be away from boxing for obvious reasons with the injuries and everything. So how have you been at home with the missus, and what have you been doing to occupy yourself?
Spend a little bit of time being human, just being a dad. I love my family. You know, I've got brothers and sisters, and I've got a good relationship with my old fellow as well. And we've always had a bit of a big household when everyone gets together. Obviously, there's been times throughout lockdown where we've not been able to do that. For a lot of stage of my life, it was 100 mile an hour constantly, no switching off. You know, at one point I worked a day job, studied at university, tried to be a professional boxer and promote myself and selling tickets all around Leeds at one point, as well as trying to have a relationship with my missus and with my pals. So I just appreciate life, you know. I know it sounds pretty simple, but I try to play the guitar. I try my hand at loads of different things if I could. I've got golf clubs, I've got tennis rackets, I've got a ping pong table at my house, I've got bikes in my shed. Just try to do as many things as possible. I bought a pair of DJ decks last year because when I was a younger lad I wanted to do a bit of mixing. I read a lot. I've got a massive fish tank at home with tropical fish, so I'm always trying my hand at different things, and it goes from one thing to another. I try my little hand at DIY as well. You know,
how's that gone?
No, it's scanless. Bought myself a big boy drill during lockdown, and just put holes in all in the walls, so not brilliant.
Guitar-wise then, how are you getting on with that?
Not too bad.
So what can you do? Can you play a few tunes?
I can play a few Oasis ones. The Oasis ones seem to be these ones, and I enjoy doing that as well. But having watched Derek Chisora over the week, I wanted to start playing the Hotel California. So that's next on the agenda. You might see that one on my social media in sometime soon.
Yeah, because obviously Dominic Ingle, when we think of boxing, he's quite serious on all that, isn't he? And he's in the opposing corner. You know, it's just funny. He brings that back. There was a little bit of needle between the camps when you were fighting Kid Galahad, but he likes the guitar, likes singing as well. Are you a singer?
Well, not really. No, I'm. I don't know. I could annoy neighbours. I'm not even house is not even attached to neighbours, but I'd still annoy them. But I put a video up actually last year. I think I put Cash No Shadow up by Oasis, and Dom actually commented on it on the Instagram. Said, not bad. I've heard that his singing's not too great, so I try to avoid listening to that if I'm honest with you. As the faces so deep, cast no shadow.
Well, the full feature of that Outside the Ropes is on the Sportsman's YouTube. That's just not quite even half of it. There's plenty more there, and if you want some comedy value with Sean in amazing form, Sean O'Hagan, you've got to go and have a look at it.
Do we see Papa Sean on the guitar or the decks?
You don't, but you see enough of him, don't worry. There are enough absolute gems in there from Sean. So, particularly about his motorhome. But anyway, still not happy about that. Right, as it is, and again, it was interesting then, just very briefly, that we started with Dom Ingle and Bradley Skeete, and we just ended up there because of Dominic Ingle and his music, but we look forward to seeing anyway what Dom and Bradley go forward and do together now. It'll be really interesting.
And like you say, you couldn't meet a nice lad than Bradley, so it'd be great to see him get to those heights that he wants to.
And you're obviously going to Sheffield, as we mentioned before, so
Yeah.
you're busy now in the next few days.
Busy the next few days with Jake. He's just on a 6-round, actually might have been cut before, but main thing is he's back out, back boxing after this pandemic. You know, it's affected so many. And I'm looking forward to, there with yourself, watching some live boxing over the Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's great. Hopefully, again, this Friday and Saturday, Fight Zone is back in action again. But that's it from the Betfred Boxing Show. Thank you. See you next week.